Hi, I'm Triggs from Scaled Events, and with me today is Jonny Kinross from the Grassmarket Community Project. He's here to tell us a bit about what they do and why your support is so valuable. So, Jonny, give me a bit more about yourself.
Okay, yeah. So originally, I was a social worker, and then when I was in my social work days, my youth work days, not content with being told that there wasn't enough money, I looked at different ways of generating income. But I was also particularly interested in how you could employ the people who benefited from your organisation or from your charity. In the case of where I was working at the time, youth work project, from actually volunteering or working within the organisation, so they could actually generate money. It was very new to me at the time, but now I realised that what I was getting involved in was social enterprise, and that's just over a decade ago. I set up my own social enterprise in the north of Edinburgh. Whilst I was running that social enterprise with a bunch of young people who were generating income and learning skills and getting into employment for the first time, many of them in quite a few years, with very few qualifications, I delivered alongside them team building days and stuff like that, and that's when I came across the Grassmarket Community Project, and it just struck me as such an incredible place with huge potential. I mean, it was already doing amazing things, but it was a fraction of the size it was now, but it had some really amazing things in its favour. First of all, there's some incredible staff members and volunteers involved in the project. I was doing some really incredible work with many people who are living very much on the margins of society, people who are homeless or rough sleeping, people with disabilities, people with drug and alcohol issues, people coming out of prison, people who are fleeing violence or been victims of abuse. And I really recognised that it could be doing a lot more with those individuals and getting them again involved in the generation of income, but also, more importantly, getting them involved in activities that can help build their confidence and enable them to contribute to the project itself, but more importantly to wider society. We all get, as we're seeing right now in this crisis that we're in, the COVID-19, we all get so much out of work and out of living meaningful lives, having a purpose and a reason to get out of bed and a reason and a way of contributing to the lives of others and to our own destiny. And that is denied to so many people in Edinburgh right now, so many people across the UK. And I really wanted the Grassmarket, and I still want the Grassmarket to be able to give people the opportunity to contribute to their own life and to the lives of others. And that's what the Grassmarket Community Project is all about. And that's why I'm there and have been for 5 years now as the CEO.
So what do they normally do? What does a typical day look like?
So to use the cliche, there's no such thing, a typical day, but they can get involved in a whole range of things. So we've got our social enterprises, like I say, they generate income, they make things, they make furniture, in the case of woodwork, from upcycled wood, mostly church pews and things, beautiful high-end furniture. We've got textiles, Greyfriars tartan, which we make and sell to customers. We've got a cafe, we've got catering establishments, both in-house that service our event space, and we've also got canteens that we run on other people's premises or building sites and stuff like that. And all these are staffed by paid staff, by volunteers, by trainees, apprentices, that kind of thing, people who are on a bit of a journey with employment, or people who just want to have meaning and structure to their lives. So that engages a huge number of people across 7 now. We have 7 social enterprises. And then also we have what we call our engagement program, which is a whole spectrum of services and support. Starts at one end with a soup kitchen service where you can literally walk in, doesn't matter how inebriated you are, as long as you're safe, you can come in and get a meal, get a haircut. If you have a pet, you're begging or you're destitute or struggling, then you can have your pet seen to by a wonderful partnership with the vets school, and then you can get advice on how to benefits. So that's all on hand. So we have that at one end, and then like I say, a whole spectrum of services and support, including classes, practical skills training, in specific things like budgeting and cooking classes, stuff that you can help improve the quality of your life, creative stuff to help you build your confidence, to help you connect with people, to help you engage with people and develop your own social skills such as drama, music, art. All the time, we're not trying to necessarily create great artists, even though some of our members are fantastically talented. Many of them are really talented. The actual purpose is not so much about training them up to be amazing artists. It's about giving them a reason to come together, because by far the single strongest motive we have is to reduce people's isolation, because that's the thing that characterises pretty much all the people that come to the project. That and mental health, which of course are very closely linked, and physical health, which again is very closely linked. So yeah, the engagement program includes outdoor stuff, gardening. We do quite a few residentials now, 40 nights away last year. And that varies from really uncomfortable but in beautiful places, bothies, through to a really gorgeous house that we have been donated by one of the local tour companies, Mercat Tours. And that's based up at Dunkeld. That's luxury accommodation, which we get 3 or 4 times a year. And their purpose there is to get people away, particularly at times like Christmas, which can be really hard for people for lots of different reasons, and give them a genuine break, kind of a bit of respite from the stresses of their lives, and also to connect them and live in community with each other. Food is a very important part of what we do as well. So across all those social enterprises and across our engagement activity, which is around about 25 activities a week, people can eat, and they do eat together. And for a lot of the people that come to the project, that's their only meal, 2-course healthy meal, 5-6 days a week. And they can, volunteers make it, donations often produce the raw materials, and we churn out these lovely meals. And that's what's one of the many things that's unique about the project, is that myself, the CEO, and all my staff and volunteers and anyone that's not actually serving customers at the time can sit down and have a meal and be in fellowship with people. And it's a great way of bonding and people feeling relaxed. It's a real privilege for me each day to hear the stories and challenges that people have overcome to be in the project and how much they get out of the project. I'm very lucky, and it's definitely a highlight of my day.
So it would be safe to say that coronavirus has had a massive impact on that.
Yeah, huge. I mean, and so quick. And I know I'm not alone. And as a charity and voluntary organisation, or any organisation or business, in thinking that we had no idea that this was going to happen and happen so quickly and have such devastating impact. So we've gone from a staff team of well over 30 people to a staff team of 2.5 part-time staff in there as well. And so we've been drastically reduced in terms of number of people that we have working for us to support people. But also all those social enterprises that I just mentioned have closed down. And to put it in perspective, they provide about 65% of our income. So we've lost 65% of our income instantly. And unlike many other social enterprises and charities, it's a customer-facing social enterprise. That's people buying coffee, it's people buying meals, people booking event space. So it's instant. We're very cash-orientated. We haven't got big, long contracts that we're fulfilling to government or council. So we're not able to just sort of park one aspect of the organisation, shift the money around, because people have stopped buying coffee, and people are, can't get married in our venue, and we just lost an absolute fortune. Many of those customers were hoping that they will come back, so it's just a delay in the income. But meanwhile, we have no income. So we've taken advantage of the government's furloughing staff retention scheme and parked everybody. That will keep them, hopefully, retain a lot of those staff members. But meanwhile, we've got this enormous, it's almost 500 people that we support throughout the year. We've worked it out that just over 100 of those are really very, very isolated individuals. They have no family, no friends, no connection with neighbours. So we're really trying to reach out to them but without coming into physical contact with them or being anywhere even within 2 meters of them, true to the government guidelines. That's had a huge impact. And these are people that, some of them were coming to the project nearly every day. It was like their life, treat it as their work, their family. If anything happened to them, we were the people they would call. And also many of them, because we've switched to a lot of digital and on phone contact, many of them don't engage with that. They're not comfortable with the technology. So we really are losing contact with some of the most vulnerable and isolated individuals. So the impact's been huge. Emotionally, it's really difficult for many of my staff that are now effectively unable to work for us, and that's really hard. They want to know what's going on. They want to be involved, but they can't be. And it's very hard for the volunteers that are left, and myself and my colleagues who are left, because the emotional impact's enormous. Just not knowing how people are getting on. So we run ragged, and with the staff that we have, and trying to reach out to as many people as possible. We're still feeding people because food is really important. So now we've shifted to a delivery service. So we've had to kind of completely think on our feet and innovate and start doing things we never used to do, a food delivery service. So all of a sudden there's a logistical nightmare of addresses and regions and using volunteers safely, and making sure that they're not out of pocket and that they're getting into all these houses, packaging, reheating of food, getting it properly stored and all that sort of stuff. So quite a big financial outlay just to get all that stuff in place, and then quite a lot of just logistics, getting food out to people. So last week it was just about 200 people that we delivered food to, and it's increasing all the time. I took another 5 referrals today, and some of them are in hospitals, and some of them are just individuals that have heard that we were doing food. So so that's been a big thing for us, and also another kind of area of innovation and adaptation has been shifting towards the online classes. We know we're losing people. Some people aren't connecting with those online classes, but those who are, that is great. But we've also had to learn that and pay for licenses for Zoom and things like apps and things, so that we can engage people in this new way, and just keep pushing it out there in the social media and through our emails and our texting, group texting, and our letters. So it's been a case of adapting quickly so that we can do as much as we can with what we have.
So speaking of how much you have, what does it cost to run the services you are running at present on a weekly basis? What's the outlay for that?
It's hard to say, because we have got some core grant funding. 1 or 2 of our trusts that fund, like these 2 existing staff, for example, they're largely grant funded, and those grant funders have been very, very generous to us. And what was restricted and was earmarked for a specific piece of work, whether that's sort of mental health group work or something, they've said spend it on what you need to. We're really lucky. And we've access to grant community welfare fund through the Scottish Government, a small pot of money. And we're really grateful to the Scottish Government for that. And you guys did some fundraising for us at the weekend, which we're really grateful for. That's added to the pot. So it's quite hard to say at this stage. And there was an initial outlay, so we were out of pocket, so we were going backwards to begin with. Hopefully we can backfill some of that. But we estimate that it's going to cost between 500 and 750 quid a week, most weeks, to do all that stuff. So that's, cost of ingredients, although we are getting some of those donated, cost of the transport, the purchasing of the packaging. We've had to initially, although again we've got a donation coming, we haven't seen it yet, purchase masks and stuff like that. But then we've also got things like we're still trying to pay our rent, we're still trying to pay our insurance. A lot of these things don't stop, obviously. Bills, food, heating, lighting. We're spending loads more money on mobiles, texting, MailChimp. These sorts of things have gone up quite a lot in costs recently, because we're relying much more on that technology. So that's what we're talking about. It's not a huge amount of money, but we anticipate that the goalposts are shifting all the time, but at the moment it's going to be at least the end of May. We're planning on a 3-month closed period. So we're strategically looking at April, May and June, definitely closed, possibly longer. And then, of course, there's getting back cut up again is going to be an initial outlay, reaching out to people, finding that people we've lost along the way. It's going to become more expensive. We're also trying to add new services and trying to add new things to our portfolio, if you like, of services and support that we offer. Most recent being we're trying to get into virtual walking, just started that last week. That has a level of coordination, which luckily we've got a volunteer doing as an architect student. It's amazing. I mean, one of the good things for following and the people stopping at university and stuff is they've got some people with some time in their hands. So we're making best use of anyone that steps forward to coordinate some of these things, these new services. And virtual walking is literally going for a walk in another part of the city with someone else and giving them a phone. So because that is a better way of reaching people who aren't particularly digitally literate or have very easy access to the internet or don't have a smartphone. They've got a phone. A lot of people have got phones. And if not, some of the money that we've raised, thanks to you guys and the Scottish Government, for example, we can buy phones or top phones up so we can try and remove as many of those barriers as possible.
So other than money, what are the things that you most need by way of volunteers and other resources to keep the service going as it is and also to improve on it?
Yeah, so we are very strict safety, food safety / general safety protocol at the moment, which makes volunteering very difficult in terms of the food and the meal preparation service. We're trying to limit it to one household doing food prep and then drivers that don't enter the building. It's just because we really want to play our part in minimizing any risk of anyone getting ill. Obviously, it's a very serious situation. And it's not just thinking of the individuals themselves who volunteer. They might be very healthy. We're thinking of who they go back to afterwards or who they interact with. So the last thing we want to do is be part of the problem. So that means that we're quite limited on the kind of food prep side. But we can, and we would welcome people who have access to a vehicle that were willing to give us a day a week. It's not even a day, it's about 2 to 3 hours of their time a week to drive. That would be useful so that we're not reliant on just 1 or 2 drivers, that we can spread it out, give them time back, or be flexible in case one of them self-isolates or can't come out for any reason to have a backup. So we could do with drivers, and they do have to be a driver and someone from the same household. It can't be multiple people in the vehicle. And then this new service that I was talking about, this virtual walking. If anybody, which is hopefully many people listening to this, are taking seriously this half an hour that we're permitted to get exercise walking, then hopefully everyone's doing that. And what we could really do with is people stepping forward and being willing to do that and phone one of our members. This kills a lot of birds with the same stone. It motivates people who aren't necessarily the most motivated to exercise. It overcomes that initial kind of, I just can't be bothered, the psychological thing of like, I'll just stay at home, and then people getting lower and lower. So we need people to get outside, get a bit of fresh air, break up their day, but also to get some physical exercise, which will benefit their mental health. But also, importantly, we want them to make contact with people. So anyone that's willing to just befriending, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about them having to be therapists or amazing listeners or anything kind of like that, counselling or anything like that. We just want them to literally call someone while they're on their own walk and just have a chat about what they're doing, what they're up to, what they can see. Not in the same part of the city, completely different parts of the city, but that's what we could do with volunteers to do that. And that would be particularly good to hear from slightly younger people. A lot of our volunteers that were currently not able to volunteer for us are of an older age group or have underlying health conditions. That means that they're not necessarily able to volunteer right now or come into the project and do driving or stuff like that. So it would be really good to hear from people that have got some time on their hands, which is a lot of people right now, that are willing to just share that once or twice a week. Is plenty. If we get enough people doing that, that'd be a great service to develop and support, way of supporting people. So yeah, virtual walkers. Anyone that's going for a walk in the park, why not call somebody who's vulnerable and just see that they're okay? And do not worry as well if anyone is interested in this sort of thing. We've got systems and processes. We take people through a bit of training, a bit of safeguarding, checking people out and stuff, and making sure that they're safe and able to do that. And we've got some guidelines about do's and don'ts and stuff like that. So as long as people follow our guidelines and they go through our processes and pass okay, then it's not a particularly big, daunting process, because we're trying to keep it as short as possible so that we can get people involved as quickly as possible. At the same time, we should hopefully reassure anyone who is volunteering that they're well looked after. Oh, the sound has gone. I can't hear you.
I think that's covered all the questions that I had. And thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you for giving me the time.
So hopefully those of you watching this will be able to donate something, be it your time, be it some money, be it other expertise, towards what is a very, very valuable piece of work that's being done by Grassmarket Community Project. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.